Okay, YouTube, don't give me weird messages as soon as I turn the live stream on, because I don't care. I'm not going to read all of that stuff. Jeez. Okay. So, what are we doing today? Firstly, hi, everybody. My name is Gypsy, and this is Broken Dolly TV. We're going to change some clothes on my dolls today. See how many we can get done. I got a whole batch of dolls over here. This is my current wall display dolls. If you are familiar with my channel, then you might be familiar with how I have my doll set up in my room. So I have like a long wall of displays where I use acrylic floating kind of shelves kind of things, and I just have all my dolls standing against the wall on those shelves in like a straight line around the border of my walls in my room. So that's what I consider my secondary display, because it's up high on the wall, and so you kind of have to look up at them. And like, imagine, okay, you see this wall up here, you guys? Imagine if there was just like a row of dolls standing right on top of that archway. That amount of space up there is what's being taken up in my room display. So basically, it goes all the way across the walls of my room. Hi, Galaxy. Oh, you're watching at work? How do you guys get away with watching YouTube at work? I be running into so many people who are like, "Hi, Florida," that are like, "Yeah, I'm at school right now. I'm at work," and I'll be like, "What?" I hope you're on lunch break. But yeah, so don't get fired because of me. Um but these dolls, they belong up there on my display up there. So that's my secondary display, because I have to deliberately look up at them to see the dolls. They're not just like right in my line of vision. And so I don't look at them a lot, but they're my secondary, because my main display that I always look at, that I will have to like walk by in order to get around in my room, is a different set of dolls, if that makes sense. So those guys are lower on like their own separate shelf, and those are the ones that I interact with the most. And these are my next batch of dolls, and then the rest of my dolls, because I don't have a lot of space here to display them, are all put away. And this is actually how I keep my dolls. Like, when I'm not displaying them, I strip all their clothes off. And right now, let me show you guys this little thing over here. I'm on the floor, so bear with me, okay? We're being real Korean right now. I got this thing at, where did I get this thing at? I want to say Hobby Lobby or Joann, or like one of those kind of shops, a craft store. The one that I went to, I think it was Joann. They had a sale going on, so I would have never spent the actual full price of this thing, because I don't think it's worth $40. But when I bought it, it was $20. So dang, I gotta go there and get some more. They're still on sale, because they're so come in handy. And what I did was I separated all of my dolls' clothing into, well, the majority of the stuff that I normally like put on my dolls, I separated them into these containers, and then I labeled each thing so that I can find the pieces very quickly. And just, like the short sleeve graphic tops, short sleeve printed tops, and then I have another one for short sleeve solid color tops, so I can quickly find the things that I'm looking for when I'm trying to dress my dolls. So that's a really cool system that I'm using right now to store a lot of my dolls' clothes. The rest of the stuff that isn't in here, because I have way more clothes than this, I keep them in this kind of container. These are a bunch of pants in here. And these are just those regular, remember back in the day when we were in school, these like pencil boxes that we used to use for all of our writing utensils? Well, it's just one of those. So you can get those at pretty much any store that sells school supplies, and they were dumb cheap. They were like $1 and some change, and I bought like 30 of them. And before I got this tote that I can separate everything in, that's what I was using, and stacking them on top of each other. And as long as you keep them labeled, then you can stack them on top of each other and make them very neat on your shelves or inside of drawers, and keep everything organized. The only thing I don't like about that system, though, is that when I'm mass changing dolls like this, I have to pull out a big stack of just containers. So when you have all of them open and you're like trying to dig through them to look for stuff, it can be kind of overwhelming depending on how you have them separated and like what you're looking for. But with this little tote system that I just showed you guys, I think it makes it a lot more streamlined, and I can keep everything neatly inside of these slots while I'm dressing. So I don't have a whole bunch of open containers, if that makes sense. So I'm just sharing those ideas with you guys if you're looking for ways to like store your dolls' clothes or organize them. In my case, I just needed them organized. And this is another system that I'm using. I saw this exact same thing, which I purchased at Walmart inside the store. So I'm sure they have them online as well. It says, the brand says Creative Options. At Walmart, I'm pretty sure this container was about $20, like give or take, right? But at Joann, it was like $4 to $5. So I'm just letting y'all know it's the exact same thing. No difference. No difference in the configuration. Not any extra slots. Exactly the same thing. But it was twice as much at a different store. So please shop around when you're looking for stuff. And don't just spend your money like the first place you see something. Because you might be able to find it cheaper somewhere else. And that money counts. And then on the top here, you can open it up. And this is where I just keep most of my male doll shoes in these little containers. And the bottom part here, you can open this part up like this, and then these pieces slide out just like this big tote that I showed you guys. And I separated all of my shoes into here so that I can find them very quickly, and labeled everything so that I know which colors and such are in here. And just staying organized. I have to do it, y'all. Like, I'm one of those people that, I'm not a neat freak, but I'm an organization freak. I didn't even know there could be a difference, but that's just my personality. If I don't have things labeled and like a place where everything goes, it drives me freaking nuts when I'm trying to like, you know, when I'm putting things back where they're supposed to go. Like I never know where anything's supposed to go. Even in my own house, in my own space, I forget things a lot. I'll put something down somewhere, and then like 20 minutes later, I'll be like, oh my God, where did I put that thing? And I'll look all over the house for something. I should remember that I put it this place 20 minutes ago, right? Oh Lord, I hope I don't get Alzheimer's when I'm old. What are the signs? I don't know. But anyways, hi Priya, I'm glad to see you in here. Hi Blake Gildefish. I don't even know if I'm saying your name right half the time. I watch YouTube at work. I sit at a desk for most of my shift. That's what's up. What kind of work do you do? I need a job like that. Okay, Galaxy said they're on break. Thank goodness. Priya said, I wish you and I could hang out. Man, I wish some of you guys were in like the same state as me, because oh my God, like we would have like so much fun. Let's see. Galaxy said, I remember the crayon boxes. Yeah, so that's what I'm using for that. Tevin, hi Tevin. Oh, you're leaving work. I'm so proud of you, Tevin. Like every goal that you're setting for yourself as far as like working and like different places that which you've been going to apply, like you've been getting them jobs, and that's what's up. Oh Lord, this girl. Now you wanna answer me? Yeah, okay, hold on a second, guys. I gotta oh my God. I'm gonna call you in an hour. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to type and talk at the same time, which is not a great idea. I try to be frugal and patient, but in my case, if I don't jump on something in the exact moment, chances are that I've missed out on it forever. Oh, you're a doorman. So yeah, Blake, that's actually a really good point that you're bringing up, because I realized through the art of collecting and the time I've been spending collecting that a lot of the times the things that I really, really like, I have to be able to gauge whether it's something I should jump on immediately and pay the full price for it, or wait for it to go on sale, or risk that it might go up higher in price later on. And it's freaking stressful trying to make those kinds of predictions when I see certain things. And then it's like, not just with doll stuff. I mean, even like with this tote thing, I had my eye on something like this for a while, right? And I wasn't really sure what it was called, so I didn't know what to search. So I basically was settling for this because when I went to go look for this, um, I actually was looking for something like this tote thing that I have, but I didn't really know like where to find it. So I kind of just was like, whatever, I'll get this for now because I needed something immediately so I could get started with my organizing process. But then when I saw these things, I had to really sit there and be like, okay, is it worth spending $20 on this thing or not? Like I had to sit there and try to figure out what it was supposed to be comparable to that I would spend that money on. And I didn't realize that these things cost so much money to begin with. So I'm like, okay, well, if it wasn't on sale, I would say the $20 is like a fair, reasonable price for what I'm getting. But when I saw the regular price, I was like, these guys are bugging. Then again, it could have just been because it's Joanne. Because like I said, the other thing that I saw over there was twice the price that I saw at Walmart. So maybe if I had found one of these things at Walmart, then maybe it would have been a little cheaper. I don't know because like I said, I have no information. But that was a moment where I had to like just decide like should I get it, should I not? And then of course I only got one, but now that I've gotten the one and seen how amazing this product is for me, I know I need another one, right? So, but that's the thing, like I want it, I need it, but I'm still not gonna spend regular price on it if I go back there and the sale is over. I'm gonna be like, whatevs, I just missed it, whatever. Whatever, some another one will come along, you know what I'm saying? I just gotta wait it out. But you have to gauge that in a hobby like this because it can get so expensive trying to find things to organize your doll hobby, especially if you have tons of dolls. Like it can get out of control very fast. Tevin said, I'm trying to become the toy department manager at our store because someone who works in the toy industry recommended that to me. Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Sweet Earth said, hi, everybody. Hi. Um, yo, Tevin, man, you know what's crazy? I used to work at a big department store, and I didn't work in the toy department, but I would travel over to the toy department a lot to try to like straighten it out and see what was over there and like, just keep an eye on the toy section because why wouldn't I? But I used to get so irritated because I would go over there and when customers would be like in the doll aisles looking for stuff for like birthday presents and things like that, I just instinctively would jump in and give them suggestions, and they would think that I was being so helpful, but it wasn't my department, and then the people from that department would never know anything about anything. So if you ask them questions, they would just be looking at you like, yeah, I don't know, we don't have it. And I would just get so irritated because I would be like, oh. Oh my gosh, I hate when I go to stores and I'm like asking people for help in their own departments and they don't know what the hell they talking about. Because they don't train people. It's not really their fault. They don't train people in a lot of these stores to know anything. Even in my own department, like my department had to do with technology and I know nothing about technology. And the entire time I worked there, which was like 3+ years, nobody trained me. They didn't give me any updates, any extra information about what I was supposed to be doing or like what information I'm supposed to be passing on to customers. And the guys who worked in that department with me, they just happened to be very nerdy guys who were just geeked out on technology. So they would always know what to tell the customers just from their own experience because they were gamers. But other than that, and I would like pick up things from just listening to them talk that I would regurgitate to the customers. But honestly, I had no idea what the hell I was even talking about. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, y'all paying us to do this job. Like, this is crazy because people come in here really relying on the information we're giving them so that they can go make life decisions that are affecting their daily entertainment and communication. But you can't tell the customer that. So it's like, oh my God. So now when I go to these stores, I never ask the workers anything. I don't ask them for help when I need information. I always just look it up online, like right then and there. If I'm trying to figure out something, look it up. The most I'm gonna ask them is like, do you have this in stock somewhere else in the store? Or do you have a different color of it? Or can I order this thing? Like that's like the only thing I really ask them. You know what I'm saying? It's just ugh. If you're not asking them general information, they're so useless. Did you guys ever... Okay, hold on a second. I'll be talking too much. Let me figure out what outfits I'm trying to do first. Okay, so what I'm trying to go for is I don't want to do skirts and dresses as much as possible. I want to avoid it if I can. So I've got my pants here that I'm gonna whip out. And then I think I have a freaking, I have shorts here, so I'm gonna pull those out. And then this little stack of stuff, these are basically tops. So they're like sleeveless tops and some printed tops. These are Curvy's pants. Let's just put that to the side for now because I don't know if I have Curvy dolls here. Well, I think I have a couple, but they're way back there. I don't know if I'm going to get to them on camera. So we'll see what we can get done. So these I'll probably put on somebody. You know what? Okay, hold on a second. Maybe I'll do solid tops. Let's start with the solid color tops. So solid short sleeves are here. And these. All right, those are the solids. Okay, so I divided up the clothes from the same like type into 3 categories. I broke them up into things that have just like solid colors without prints and graphics, like these. And I was trying to figure out, should I do a color coordinated, but it was getting too much when I tried to color coordinate them because the totes can only hold but so much and there's way too many colors. So it was like too much, even with like prints and graphics. And then I did graphic tees where it's some kind of a single picture on it, and then or like wording on it, and then I did printed tees that are basically just have like random prints on them. So that made it so much easier to figure out how to divide everything. And then I did the same thing with my dresses. I sorted them based on the length of the dress and whether they had prints, graphics, or solid colors. With some of my dresses like these that are like, you know, they're kind of like, I think these are short dresses, like mini dresses, where all the legs aren't covered up. These kind of dresses, I have so many of, you guys. It's outrageous how many I have. And with these, I had to break it up where, because some of them had a print here and a different print down here. Do you know what I'm saying? So I would do like one case with just single prints and then another case with multiple prints. So it was a little easier to break them up like that because they didn't all have graphics on them. But I'm just throwing these things out for you guys who want ideas on how you can sort your things a little bit better and get your doll stuff together, okay? Oh, she's so pretty. These guys, and all of these girls, their hair is not done either. So some of them, their hair is sort of done, but I usually dress all the dolls first, and then I'll mess with the hair later after they've got their outfits on, because usually, just the way that my brain works, it looks like their hairstyle, sometimes you have to like make it work with the kind of clothes they're wearing. Certain kinds of clothes don't look right with certain hairstyles. So that's the reason why I like to do it like that. But then also when I put them in like some kind of intricate hairstyle, I'll keep it in that style for a while. So for those like that, you know, when I take the clothes off, I won't undo their hair. I'll just put them back into a different kind of outfit that's like a similar style of outfit from whatever they had on, but it's just different clothes, if that makes sense. Anywho's in. All right, so what are we going to put you in? This is a little hairband thing that I had made. What do you call these things? Like a scarf. But actually, it's already in the shape that I need it to be in. So I don't have to fidget with it and like keep trying to tie it on and take it back off and do all of this nonsense, because I ain't got time for that, man. I'm lazy. I don't have time. Like I need to just, let's do this as fast as possible. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, okay. I saw these freaking dolls being posted everywhere. We gotta talk about them, you guys. I don't know if any of you guys have mentioned them already further down in the comments, but I'm telling you now, they are on my radar, okay? The dolls are those little Disney ILY Forever dolls. I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. If you go to Target, okay, you will see this brand, and they usually have the bigger size dolls, like the 20, or what are they? How many inches are they? 20, are they 18-inch dolls maybe? They're like the same size as the Journey Girls dolls from Toys R Us and My Life as dolls from Walmart. They're in that same size range. So those dolls I've seen in Target. They have their own little section. It's all sectioned off with Disney stuff. And I'm not certain if they sell those dolls like in a Disney store. Is that a Disney store brand? Because I haven't been to a Disney store in forever. I don't even know if they still even have any Disney stores around. So I couldn't say. But online, you can shop Disney. So you guys who know more about Disney, you let us know if that's an actual part of their Disney store brand or if it's just a completely different thing. But the IOI dolls who are in that size range, they're very pretty. Their faces are pretty, but I'm just not into dolls in that size range anymore because I realized that when I like them. I like the way they look. I used to collect them, but they're a very awkward size for me where I can't really put them on display, but I also don't really interact with them enough for me to feel like investing in them as something to collect long term. They just, I don't know. It's not that they bore me. It's just very inconvenient for me to interact with those particular types of dolls. So I just stopped collecting them. And if my daughter was more into that size range, I would still kind of have them on my radar, but she's not. So those dolls really don't have a place in my collecting journey anymore. So even though I like those dolls and I had, checked them out when I saw them in the store, I didn't really pay much attention to them. Now, on the other hand, these 12-inch, the 6 scale versions of those dolls that they have newly produced, what do you guys think? I haven't heard anything negative about them so far, and from what I can tell, they look like, at least from the pictures, I mean, they have joints here, not these double joints, but they have joints here, they have joints in here, and then they definitely got some good looking knee joints. They look like double joints to me, but not this kind. And they have joints here. I'm not sure if those dolls have any like joints in the torso or if they have this upper arm mobility. Probably not. But even just the fact that their elbows, wrists, and the knees and the ankles move is substantial in my opinion. Who has any idea what the price range is for those dolls? If it's like 20 and under, I would say that's really reasonable for what you're getting because they all come with clothes too. And if it's more than $20, oh geez, guys. Only because I know I like them so much and I would want to buy more than one of them would I be a little disappointed about the idea of them being higher in price. But like if they're under 25, I would say that's still kind of reasonable. But like the $30 range, now you're getting a little outrageous in my opinion for what we're getting. I just feel like everyone is competing with Barbie, whether they realize they are or not. If you're just in denial about it, you're in denial about it, but that doesn't change the fact that it's true. So I feel like if you are competing with Barbie, you gotta act like you know what I'm saying. You can't be having these crazy prices unless you're giving me a lot. Oh, $30. Oh, Tevin, why you gotta break my heart, Tevin? Why you gotta break my heart, Tev? Why? Oh my goodness. Okay, well I can't kill the messenger. I ain't mad at you. Thank you for telling me the truth. Oh, there's another thing that I do. If you're not familiar, I don't know how often I show you guys this. So right here where it says Velvet on her back, this is a label sticker like this that I just printed on my little label maker. And y'all, I can't live without that label maker. I use that thing for freaking everything, okay? Not just with my doll collection, which I use it primarily with, but also around my house. Like all of my whole entire kitchen is covered with labels. Because I get so irritated when things are not where they're supposed to be and I go looking for stuff and I can't find it. So I'll like basically make everyone in the household follow the labels to put things back where they belong. And you ain't got no excuse because there's a label right here you can't read. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I be doing. But anyway, so right here where it says Velvet on her back, that's her name. And I do this with all of my dolls that are in my like I guess my main part of my collection, my top tier dolls. Like I label all of them with their names. The ones that I have them on the back are the first batch of ones that I did, but the ones that I did later, I ended up putting the label on their legs, in the back of their legs, because it's easier to reach. But they're more stable on their back though, because you don't really have clothes like rubbing against it that much. Whereas with the back of their ankle where I've been putting them, when you put the shoes on and off, you're constantly rubbing against it. So sometimes they look kind of like they're getting raggedy. So I might move them. I might do them over again. But this is something that I do because I have freaking like over 100 dolls probably at this stage. And I can't remember every single doll's name, but I give all my dolls names, because if I don't, I feel like somehow they're not complete, like they're not fully immersed into my collection until I give them names. So that's why I do it like that. And I can't remember all these damn names, y'all. Some of them I do, but a lot of them that I don't interact with on a regular basis, I'll be like, what the hell did I name this doll? What is your name? Then I can't remember it. So that's what I do. And then to match, so I don't get confused in case the labels come off, what I'll do is I have an inventory book that I literally write down all of my dolls' names and which dolls they are in that book. Like now I do it as soon as I get a new doll and she's been customized and I got her all together. I go by the head. So whatever face, because all my dolls are hybrids for the most part, like 90%. So whatever face the doll has when I'm done customizing her and doing whatever I'm doing with her, like this one is not on her original body, for example, right? So I'll go with the head. The head was initially a Misty Copeland doll, Firebird version. So that's what I have written down in my inventory. And then her name in my collection is Velvet. So that's what I'll put down next to it. So I'll know which doll is which. So if I lose her label, then I'll just look at her face and be like, okay, this is this doll. And I'm going to go in this book and find her name. And then I can reprint it and put it back on her because I don't remember this doll's name. You feel me? But yeah, so those dolls, the ILY dolls, they freaking come with clothes. But like not just clothes. I mean, these are like, this is not like dollar store brand type clothes. Like these clothes look very high end, very good quality. A lot of it looks like, like the cutesy kind of Disney stuff with the Disney characters on it. But so what? So much of Barbie Mattel's clothing comes with goofy freaking graphics all over everything. So that's something most of us are pretty used to. I'm not going to hold that against it because it's supposed to be promoting their actual Disney brand. So that makes sense. But the aesthetic of those dolls is supposed to be like they are like super fans of Disney cartoons, and that's why the characters don't look like the actual princesses. For people who are confused about that, they're not supposed to. They're supposed to look like if her, Ember, was into the Little Mermaid, then she would be like all dressed up in Little Mermaid gear and representing, because I love Little Mermaid, but she herself doesn't look like Ariel, if that makes sense. And that's what they're basically selling to us. So it's a cute concept because that leaves so much room for diversity and change in the way that the dolls are presented and look, that you're not necessarily associating with the exact characters that they're representing. So you can have like a blonde haired doll but wearing like Jasmine clothes, and it's not gonna look like cultural appropriation and all this nonsense that everybody gets angry about with the whole wokety woke thing. So I think that's so clever the way that they did that. It's a way for them to like give you the characters but also give you diversity at the same time and switch things up, which is amazing. So I just like the concept altogether. It excites me. That I feel like is diversity done right. It's not like this annoying forcing it on you BS that I just cannot stand. It's done in a very natural way. So I love that. I love that those dolls already come with joints. So most likely you're not gonna have to do head swaps unless you want a Made to Move them, of course. But just their initial joints that they're coming with already seem like they're better than like standard hollow body dolls. And then somewhere I saw somebody's post that said that the doll seems like they have some weight to them. Now, I don't know if that person who said that is judging on the weight of the box or the doll itself when they took it out of the box, because when I looked at the post, I couldn't see any evidence that they had removed the doll from the box as they made this statement. So I don't know. But there, I feel like there is a different weight to these made to move bodies and like the hollow body jointed dolls that we used to have before these. So I'm wondering, like, how do they compare to a made to move as far as like the weights, because these are pretty well weighted dolls, I think. And I'm satisfied with this level of weight. If it matches this level, I'll be okay with that. And also the way that the body parts look to me, and this is all based on, I haven't even seen a review of these dolls yet, like out of the box, because I feel like I'm gonna get too excited. And then I won't know what to do with myself. I'll like go on a rampage looking for these dolls all over the place, and I don't got time for that right now. You feel me? So I'm trying to control myself. But has anybody seen them inside of a Target store yet? Just wondering, because I got 2 Targets right down the street from me, and I should go look if they do. But anyway, I like that their bodies remind me of, remember those dolls from some years ago? What are they called? Live dolls, I want to say. The ones with the inset eyes and the bald heads, and then they came with different like wigs you could put on the dolls. They didn't have rooted hair. Well, that's what the body kind of reminds me of when I look at the joints. And I wonder if it's a similar body that they used for those dolls, or if it just looks that way, but they move a little differently. I just wonder. So these little dots on my doll, they're just faux piercings, I guess. I don't even know what you call this. They could be piercings. They could be like, maybe they could be like tattoos. I don't know. But they're just little body art that I did on my doll with puffy paint. And I can just scrape it off when I get tired of it. And so that's what this is on my doll. If you see my dolls with like little dots and things on their body parts, that's what you're looking at. It's not painted on with regular like acrylic paint, because that stuff you can't necessarily remove as easy. So I just did that to decorate some of my dolls, to like spruce them up a bit. But this one here, I did paint on her body. And what happened is that I kind of wanted them to look sort of like henna. So I did some little designs on one side. And I did all the way down to her hand. But then I got actual tattoos that I put onto her arm on one side. And what is this? I think I painted this part on here on the back. Yeah. So then what happened was I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't want her to have them on both hands. So I'm going to erase the one that I did. I tried to, I think I tried to wash it off with just water, because I'm not sure if I can put, I don't know what to put on her arm to get rid of the paint, but it was not washing off. I was like, well, I'll just use some soap and water, because I didn't seal any of it. But that didn't happen. So now she's just stuck with this paint on her. And it's not that I don't like it. It's just that they don't match, because this side looks totally different than this side. And this one looks more streamlined because of actual like tattoo. But I don't know. This one's actually peeling off now, even though my drawn on tattoo is staying put. So I don't know what to do with myself, you guys. But that's okay. Her skin tone is so dark that it really doesn't matter, because you can see the gist of it, but you can't really see the little tiny details when she's on display anyhoozin. So I'm not worried about that, but I'm just using her as an example to show you guys, be careful when you paint on your dolls, because if you're not sure if you want it to stay permanent, you got to be careful. Do you remember all the doll names? Do you ever get tired of them? Hi, ex-church girl. Oh, the names. I have had dolls whose names I ended up not liking on them after a while, and then I was like, it just doesn't feel right, so I end up changing the name. And I do have some dolls who have duplicate names, which is like they're named after a different doll that I either sold or got rid of, or that I got rid of the doll itself because I got tired of that doll, but I liked the name still, or the character that I had associated with that doll. So I'll transfer the name to a different doll that's like newer in my collection and revive the name. You know what I'm saying? But it won't be like two dolls at one time that I have with the same name. Like I don't have like a Jennifer B and a Jennifer C in my collection, if that makes sense. All my dolls have unique, completely different names from each other at one given time. I also have dolls that I give names to where I name them after a different doll as a tribute to that doll, because it will be a different size range doll. Like I used to have Masterpiece Galleries dolls, and those are child size dolls that are like the size of an actual 4-year old, 5-year old, 6-year old kid. And then I ended up selling all of them and got rid of the dolls, but I loved all of them and I miss them. So sometimes when I have Barbies that remind me, some feature about the doll will remind me of one of those dolls, I've given the same name to a newer doll, but it was named after an older doll, if that makes sense. So I have things like that. And then the way that I remember them is by, I was saying earlier, you probably missed it, I label them like this, Layla, and then I write the name down in a book to match the face of the doll who I gave that name to. And this also comes in handy because sometimes, because I do so many body swaps, you guys, I need to know which doll had what name, because if I move her onto, say, a petite body, now that doll's body, it's not labeled anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I need to know which doll is which, because that way when I transfer the doll over to a different body, the name follows the face. So this body that's labeled with Layla is not Layla anymore if I move her head over to a different body. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I do it like that, to make sure everything's labeled so that I don't get confused, because I will get confused. And nobody needs me to be confused any more than I'm usually confused by default. Okay? That's all I'm saying. I like the name on the doll idea. Each one has a personality too, I think. Yeah, and I feel like the dolls, that's why sometimes I'll look at the doll and be like, yeah, I don't like this name for her after a while, because it'll feel like it doesn't fit her personality. That, like, whatever storyline I give to the doll about what kind of person I think they might be, it don't fit. So then I'll just end up being like, yeah, no, I gotta change it. And then I do, but that happens so rarely, very, very rarely, because I put a lot of thought into what I name most of my dolls. So the only times that happens is like if I just rush and give the doll some name just so I can write the name down into my book and make sure I'm keeping track of the doll. I do that rarely. Sometimes I have dolls' names picked out ahead of time before I even buy the doll. So it is what it, like all my Barbie Looks dolls from wave 1, I swear I already had every single doll's ethnicity and first and last names. I don't normally give my dolls last names, all picked out before I ever purchased one of those dolls. And I had them all written down so that when I got the dolls, I would be ready to label everything. And sometimes that happens. So I put so much thought into naming my dolls. It's been like that for me since I was a kid. Like, yo, there's another topic we got to talk about. But hold on a second. I want to stay on this IOI thing for a couple minutes more. When I was a kid, I used to name all of my dolls, and I didn't have a lot of Barbie type dolls. I had mostly baby dolls when I was younger. And then when I became a teenager, that's when my Barbie collections really like grew. But as a kid, I just didn't feel right having dolls without names, because to me, my dolls were my friends. Like, they were real people to me in my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were all my imaginary friends. And so when other kids were like creating entities that weren't really there and saying, oh yeah, my imaginary friend and I are gonna hang out today, my dolls were my imaginary friends. I had like a physical object that I could carry around with me and pose and look at to interact with and pretend that they were talking back to me, right? And I wasn't the kind of kid that would be like talking to my doll and be like, hi, Stephanie, I love you so much. Okay, well, let's have a tea party today. Okay, let's have a tea party, Gypsy. That's not how I played. It was all like I would talk to the doll out loud, but she would answer me back in my own head. So it was never me impersonating my doll, pretending to talk to myself. It wasn't like that. I would just be having a conversation with my doll, like as if she was really there, a person talking to me. But when she's supposed to respond, no one else could hear the response. It was just in my own head. I would hear her response back, if that makes sense. So like that's the way that I would play. And I still do that now. Like, it's so freaking weird. I don't know if it's like a habit why I do that, but I'll be like in my room by myself when my husband's off at work or something, and I'll be talking to the dolls. I'll be like looking up at the dolls and I'll be like, who wants to get dressed today? And then I'll hear in my head a couple of dolls being like, oh, I want to get dressed. I want to change my outfit. Oh, pick me, right? And I'm like, okay, if you insist. And then I'm like talking to them while I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my dolls. And I just do it instinctively. I don't know. But it doesn't freak me out. Now, that's going to segue us to this next topic, which is very much doll related. I don't care what y'all say, okay? This is very much doll related. Have you guys seen have y'all seen the trailer for or gone and watched the movie Megan yet? Megan is supposed to be about like a AI android doll that's like an animatronic kind of a robot that I guess sort of comes to life, and she's supposed to be like some kid's companion. Hi, Minnie G. And yo, I'm so obsessed. I'm obsessed. I haven't seen the movie yet, but Adonis promised me we're gonna watch it together. And it's not the movie though. It's not about the movie. I don't even care how bad the movie is. The movie might suck, but I don't even care. Like I just want to watch it for for the depiction of the character, because y'all, did I ever tell you this? When I was a kid, I used to beg my father to buy me a Chucky doll. And he thought I was crazy because he was like, well, that's scary. Why do you want a Chucky doll? And I'd be like, no, it's not scary. He's alive. He's going to talk to me. He's going to be my friend. I was like, my Chucky's not going to kill anyone. Bro, but Chucky annoyed me because A, I hated the voice of the actor who does his voice. It just sounds so ridiculous. And B, because Chucky is fugly, you guys. He is not cute, okay? He's fugly. And I was like, I'll settle. I'll settle for his fugly little behind because he comes to life, and that's the most important part. We'll worry about the rest later, right? What is my problem? Oh my God. So, but that was like my childhood fantasy. Like, I wanted my dolls to come to life so that I don't have to pretend I hear their voices in my own head. I'm like, no, I need external doll voices. Okay. So, in my mind, I'm like, nah, I gotta get me a doll that comes to life. I used to fantasize about like growing up, becoming a robotic scientist, which of course I could never do. But I would fantasize about this just for the sake of creating dolls that could come to life. And then ever since the internet became like accessible to everyone, every few years I go down this rabbit hole of binging a bunch of like YouTube videos about robotic humanoids, and I'll just get lost in all this content where I'm just like obsessively watching this stuff because I'm sitting here trying to think like, how can we transfer this technology to Barbies or baby dolls or like different size ranges of dolls that people already collect in the reborn doll industry? How could we do that? Like, I'm like constantly like fantasizing and thinking about it and wondering if some person out there was bored enough but smart enough to figure out how to do this and could like create something like this, right? I'm just like, oh, this is the wave of the future. This is the part of the future I want to live in. So that's like my ultimate dream come true doll situation, and this movie Megan just brought all of those feelings back to life, and I was like, oh my God. Like Adonis showed me the trailer. He's like, have you seen this movie trailer yet? And I'm like, what is this? What is this? All right, yo, when I be watching like movies or TV shows, I guess usually in the horror genre, like Annabelle, where they never do dolls coming to life in a fun way for some reason. They always do it in like a scary, creepy way, which is why I think there's such a bad stigma about people who collect dolls. With people who don't collect dolls, they just seem to be so freaked out and scared of them. What did I do with that? What did I do with that brush? Y'all, what did I do with that brush? Oh, here it is. Thank you. Thank you for helping me find it. Minnie G said, my cousins had a My Buddy doll, like Chucky, when I was a kid. Those movies were the number one reason I didn't mess with dolls with inset eyes for the longest. I know, right? But yeah, they always depict it in like a scary and creepy way. And that really irks me because it's like, dolls are not creepy and scary. Some are. Some are. But in general, people should not be afraid of dolls. You know what I mean? So I just feel some kind of way about that. And like the reason why I love Megan is because she's creepy and scary, of course, because she's supposed to be like a killer robot. But she's not fugly. They didn't make the character weird looking. They made her like a cutesy little, like, she looks like a little what do they call those ball jointed dolls, like the Japanese dolls that everybody loves, like Momoko and stuff like that. Like, she reminds me of that kind of a doll, right? But like a life-size version, and or like a smart doll, right? And I'm like, oh my god. Like, what? This should be a real thing. What the heck, right? And I'm sitting here like thinking like, oh my god, are they gonna make a Megan doll? Like, is someone gonna produce one like they do with Chucky's, and you can actually buy one? Oh my goodness. If only they would make her life size like how she looks in the movie, that would be like my freaking dream doll, right? I'm just bugging out thinking about this dang movie. And it's not about the movie, I swear, you guys. It's really just about this character that's supposed to be a doll that came to life, right? I'm just so obsessed. And I'm like, we need to do this. Who is smart enough in our doll community to transfer their skills to actually making something like this for real happen? Like, can we figure this out? Because I needs me a Megan. Thank y'all. Okay. How amazing would that be if you could just turn your doll on and be like, hey, let's play dress up. Okay, what do you want me to wear? And then you can just go on with your day interacting with your doll. You know, and I know people are like, well, that's what your kids are for. They are, but they have a mind of their own, you guys. Oh, God. Kids are not pets. You know, you can't, like, manipulate them the way that you want to, because they're humans and they have their own feelings and thoughts and whatever. Blah, blah, freaking blah. Yeah, respect other people. But if you if you have a doll with no real feelings and she doesn't have to eat and she has no needs, she just turn on and turn off, then you can do all of that smothering without feeling guilty that you're smothering her. You see what I'm saying? That's just what it is. She's like, I want to smother someone, you know, but I can't smother a real human because they're going to be like, you're stalking me. Ew, go away. So that's my problem, you guys. That's what it is. I just want to get the smothering, like, need off of my what do you call it, my palate. I just gotta get it off my chest. It's like when you got a song stuck in your head, and the only way to make the song go the freak away permanently is to just sing the song out loud. At least for me, that's how it is. Like, it won't stop until I just sing the song, get it over with, get it out of my system, and then I can move on, right? But I'll resist. I'll resist just singing the damn song already because I'm in denial. I don't want to believe that I really had the song stuck in my head because it's like such a stupid song. It's not a song I would just pick if I was at karaoke night to be singing. You know what I mean? So you don't want to sing that song, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to do it because you're going to be driven nuts. And that's how I feel about smothering people. I just need to smother someone sometimes. You gotta get it out of your system. This is why I love dolls, because I can do that with my dolls, especially bigger dolls. Right now on my radar, oh god, is this reborn doll that I really want, who is like the size of like a small 2-year-old, I guess. And I'm freaking obsessed, and I'm like watching all these damn YouTube videos of people who have these dolls and freaking salivating over them, and I really shouldn't because it's so expensive and it's just ridiculous price. But not, because if you want a good reborn doll, you have to spend good money, because the artists that do exceptional work, it's worth it. Like, it would be like sus if they weren't charging you a decent amount of money for it, because what's wrong with it? Do it really look like the pictures? You know what I mean? The reborn collecting, like, that's not the kind of hobby where you want to be skimping when it comes to money, because you're gonna get what you pay for, and what's the point unless you're just like, whatever, I'm okay with this little Paradise Galleries version of a so-called reborn. You know what I mean? There's like dolls that have a purpose when it comes to just being like factory dolls, but if you're trying to get the reborn experience, then you gotta do it right. You feel me? So, like, that's how I feel about this one doll that I'm freaking obsessed over. Her face mold, I don't know if her face mold is supposed to be, why is this so tight? Oh, because it's not for this size doll. Gypsy, you smart. Y'all, ain't that smart? That don't fit. What is my problem? Oh, Lord. I should know better. Okay, so let's go with this one then. That looks pretty. What was I saying? The only time I think there has been a doll, AI, not scary movie, I think was AI, artificial intelligence. Yeah, that was another movie where I was like, if only. When will the robots actually come to life? People are like terrified of the idea of robots coming to life. But I'm like, why? They're not ever going to actually come to real life. I mean, maybe some of them will glitch and have a mind of their own to some degree. But I mean, the most that's going to happen is it'll just malfunction. It's not going to do what it's supposed to do. Like, it's not going to answer your questions when you talk to it. It's not going to be like malfunctioning to the point where it wants to murder you. Why? For what motive? You know what I'm saying? Like, a robot is not going to have a personal motive for why it wants to murder you. Get out of here. That's what humans do. Humans are the most dangerous creatures on this planet. Let's all stop fronting. It's not aliens. It ain't ghosts. It's not killer robots. It ain't werewolves or vampires. It is the human race. Human beings are very destructive, very violent, and just the strangest of reasons why we'll justify mass genocides and just bothering people who ain't doing nothing to you, you know? I'm telling you, people will kill their own best friend because they're just jealous of them. What? What? I've been your childhood friend and you're just gonna murder me because I won homecoming queen? Like, what the hell is your problem? That's a justification in your head? Like, you planned this? What the heck? Oh, God. Humans, that's what we do. So we gotta stop projecting our own issues onto other creatures or entities or situations that don't even exist and telling ourselves, oh no, it could go wrong. Like, go wrong, not like how we be going wrong. It ain't never gonna go that wrong, so relax. You still ain't heard no stories after all this technology of just a computer killing someone because it felt like it. That's not how that works. That is not how that works. Let's see. It's not all humans that are violent. It's usually men. Well, here's the thing. It's usually men because, not because men are just violent. It's because men have a higher level of testosterone, which is just naturally a hormone that you guys produce more than women do. And when that testosterone becomes triggered, when a big rush of it becomes released, the fight or flight response just kicks in the male's DNA. So when that happens, he got to make a decision in that moment. Is he going to fight or is he going to flee? And the average man will flee. You didn't expect me to say that. The average man will get out of that situation. He will talk his way out of the situation, sometimes in an aggressive manner, but he's not going to violently get himself out of that situation. But a small percentage of men who do respond violently do so in such a way where it's so destructive that that's all you hear about in the news. Nobody is going to talk about, it's not news to talk about how this man talked his way out of a situation that he could have fought his way out of. That does not make the news. Nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? No one is talking about that. Even the eyewitnesses are not going around telling everyone, hey, guess what happened at the bar tonight? There was almost a fight, but this guy charmingly spoke his way out of it. He used logic and walked away. No one is telling that story. That's not exciting. No, you only tell the story, yo, he whooped his ass. And that's the story that you end up hearing, right? That's the one that makes the news. You feel me? So when all we're bombarded with in society are these messages that men are dangerous, men are violent, men are aggressive, we just assume that all the violence is because of men. You see what I'm saying? But that's not true. Do you know how many women, like I just said, we'll kill each other over stupid stuff like I'm jealous that you're the prom queen. Dumb. I'm mad because I thought he was having an affair, so I burnt the house down. Whoa, bro, that's really excessive. But those stories don't make the news as much. They don't. Why? Because we don't like to depict women in our society as dangerous. We don't like to talk about the women who are abusive and toxic and violent. They exist. They're out here. They're out here. Some of us have mothers who we're scared to tell her the truth because she might flip the hell out on you, and you don't know what the hell she gonna do. She be throwing stuff. She be kicking you out the house. She be cursing you out in front of everybody. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's much more common than we realize. And you know how many husbands are deathly afraid of their wives? They don't want to get her angry because she's unpredictable and she's upset and emotional all the time. But we don't talk about that stuff as much in society because women are very protected by society. Our images are protected, and we I think we don't understand how much we're protected because we're so spoiled and believing that we're entitled to literally any and everything. We can just talk crap about whoever, whenever, as much as we want, and no one's going to say anything to us. No one's going to correct us. No one's going to say that's not fair. That's biased. You shouldn't talk like that. Nobody corrects us. No one holds us accountable publicly for anything. So we get a lot of passes, but as women, we don't appreciate that. We don't understand what a privilege that is that we just get because we're females. And we totally take advantage of it. A lot of girls take advantage of it when it's convenient for them, you know? So we have to be careful in how we're labeling people because it's not always the case. Like, it's not a blanket statement that applies. If you really sit down and think about it, how many of us actually know a bunch of violent men in our real day-to-day lives? Very few. You feel me? Very few. Of most of the men that you know in your life, when they get upset, they don't just jump to violence, usually. But some of them who are just knuckleheads, those guys stand out in your mind. You remember those guys. Those are the guys that people are talking about the most. You feel me? So I think, you know, as like, especially us women, we got to be so much more understanding of men and the pressures that they're under in society, where they're like under attack for being masculine creatures. They're just being themselves. Everybody wants everyone to be represented, and you want people to feel like they can just unashamedly be themselves. Don't fat shame. Okay, fine, but don't masculine shame. Don't man shame. Don't shame men for being men. They've been men since the beginning of time, and now because people are uncomfortable with certain things that just come with being a masculine male, we're like shaming them about it. That's weird. That's very strange. That's like shaming a woman because she cries when she's emotional. That's what women do. We're just built like that. I'm not trying to cry to get your sympathy. I just can't help it. I'm emotional. You know what I'm saying? Women can go to work. A grown-ass woman, 37 years old, can go to work and like just be at her desk crying for no reason, and no one's gonna come up to her and be all an asshole to her about it. They're gonna try to console her. They're gonna ask her, hey, what's wrong? Are you okay? Do you need some space? Do you need a break? They're gonna come and check on her and try to make sure she's okay. If a man is crying at work, it's not the same reactions necessarily. Why? Because he's a different gender than that woman over there, or what you perceive to be a woman? Is that why? Like, he's still a human. He has feelings too. He cannot cry at work. Me saying this is making some people hearing this very uncomfortable. They're like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I would react if I just saw Mr. Jenkins sobbing at his desk. Like, unless someone died and he just got bad news immediately, it would be very odd. I don't know how I would deal with the situation. You know what I'm saying? These are things that, you know, we don't really talk about publicly because it just makes people very uncomfortable. But it's the truth. And I think about these things not only because I'm married to a man and I have to deal with a man on a daily basis, but because I'm the mother of a male, and he's going to grow up to become a man, and I don't want my son to have to feel like he has to hide his masculinity in order to be comfortable around females, or anybody who's just uncomfortable with men being men. Like, he's got to pretend that he's not as masculine as he is so that people in society will accept him and not be scared of him. That's weird. My son is not a violent person. Does he get upset? Yes, he does. But we trained him, as parents should. See, if you have a good, strong man in your life who's playing his role as a father to your children, he should be training the young men in his family of how they should react when they become upset. A good father figure is going to teach his son coping mechanisms when he gets angry, to not just flip out on everybody around him and scare them. That's not good leadership. You know, men have the capability of flipping out and becoming violent, but that doesn't mean that they should, right? They also have the capability of controlling it. Not all of them are good at controlling it, but if someone helps them to learn how to do that at a young age, not already after he's a teenager, while he's still a little boy, You know, this is not something that a lot of mothers even think about teaching their children, which is why we need dads around, because a man knows this. He knows the struggles of transitioning from his childlike ways into being a mature young man. He knows he can't just go to school and flip out, throw everybody down a flight of stairs because his favorite football team didn't win and he just flipping out on everybody. Like, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And those young men that are raised in that environment, you see the difference when they become grown men. You see how, even though they're masculine, they're balancing their masculinity with logic, with level headedness, with a calm demeanor. And even when they get upset, they know how to carry themselves. Hi, Pamsy. You know, my favorite uncle, Uncle Benny, who I always talk about. I talk about my Uncle Ben so much, you guys. I talk about him more than I talk about my own father. My Uncle Ben is my father's eldest brother, and my dad had lots of brothers. Okay, he's the youngest one out of like 5 kids. So this uncle and I, we happen to have the exact same birthday, but we're 30 like 1 years apart or something. And after my father died, he totally just stepped in and like took over as my father figure, with no hesitation, no request. He just stepped up and did his job as an uncle. And even though my uncle's gone right now, like, the years that I got to spend around him really shaped how I view men, and good men specifically, and how to measure men in their character, right? A lot of times, we women, we just judge men based on outward appearances, how cute he is, how buff he is, or what kind of car he's driving, like all these superficial stupid things that don't really matter at the end of the day. Hi, Viola. Instead of judging them based on the character that they have and whether or not they're good leaders, right? And a good leader is not a tyrant. A good leader makes you want to follow him. A good leader inspires you. A good leader brings out your strengths so that you can use those strengths to benefit the entire tribe, the entire group. That's what a good leader does. And I know this because I experienced it with my uncle. He totally inspired me and never treated me like I was a little kid. He always treated us like we were on his level. And that's, I don't know. I feel like he got that from his own dad. Y'all, I come from a lineage of strong, smart, logical, practical, leader type males, especially on my father's side. On my mom's side, it's more like a matriarchal family. But even though we're a matriarchal family on my mom's side, we still have very well, I'm saying the word educated, but I don't mean like a book smart education. I mean like a family role education, if that makes sense. Like, your place in your family, in your household, in your society, everyone has a role, right? And on my mom's side of the family, it's led by women, but we're led by women under the guidance of the men, if that makes sense. I know that sounds so weird. That sounds so weird when I'm like hearing myself say it out loud. I don't even know how to explain that, but it's true. Like, the men in my family I have so much respect for. Um, most of the men in my family on my mom's side are in-laws. Like, they're like husbands that were married into the family, because we have predominantly women on my mom's side. But the men have their role as the leaders of their households, if that makes sense. So my aunts, they're all educated, strong women. Most of them either have their own businesses or have experience running businesses, because my grandmother was an entrepreneur and she just passed that mentality down to all her kids. And I do have an uncle on my mom's side, but I lost touch with him. I don't know where he's at. But my mom is the eldest, so all her siblings are younger than her, and my cousins are all younger than me. So I'm the oldest one, and I have, most of them are males, but they're so protective of us and they're so reliable. They don't talk that much, y'all. They quiet. They don't talk. They're like very quiet. They don't socialize with us that much. But at the drop of a dime, if I need something and I just randomly call up one of my guy cousins and I'm like, yo, can you give me a ride to this place? My car broke down. I need to take it to the shop. Can you take me there tomorrow? I'm sorry, so last minute. I don't be giving them gas money. I don't be telling them a week in advance. I don't be buying them lunch afterwards. I'm just in a like bind and I need some help. They always 100% drop what they're doing to come help me. And These are not even cousins that I grew up with because they were really little when I left Korea. They don't even remember me from when they were kids. I remember them, but they don't remember me, you know? So all my relationships with those guys I've built as already an adult. And one of my cousins, he wasn't even born until after I had already came to America. So they don't even know me like that. But it's the reputation that I have in my family and the way they were brought up to do their role as the men in the family of protecting everyone and providing, you know, help and guidance. They just step into their role. You know what I'm saying? So having men like that in my family, I can't listen to these people talk about men the way they talk about men in the media and in society right now and just go along with it like just all men are crazy, all men are out of control. No, they're not. There's so many men who aren't like that and they never get praised. They don't get talked about. No one elaborates on how amazing those guys are. They don't get no shine. They're just existing in silence and being totally underappreciated and not even complaining about it. They ain't even complaining about it, you guys. They ain't even online whining to everyone that everyone should acknowledge that these guys exist. They're just moving about their lives, providing value to the women and the people that are around them, right? So these are not men I'm dating, I'm telling you guys about. These are just guys I know, guys from my family, and I'm using them as an example because, of course, they're the best examples for me to use. But I also have tons of guy friends who fit into that category. So many of them, they're family men, they have children, they have daughters who they are absolutely trying to raise to be independent women who feel like they can accomplish whatever they want in life, but also seeing the importance of having a father around, a male figure around, a spouse, you know what I'm saying? And these guys are great examples and they're making their communities better every day that they're interacting with people in it, and they just don't get any shine. And I just feel really bad about that. So, yes, I agree that most violence occurs because of men, but at the same time, all men or most men are not violent, if that makes sense. You see what I'm saying? And the violence that you do see with the men is usually untrained men who don't know how to control their emotions well when that testosterone gets triggered. And in some cases, there are men that have mental problems. And so it comes out with violent tendencies, which you also see with women as well who have mental issues. They can get violent too, but it's just that plus the testosterone. It's almost like they can't even help it, you know? So does that make it right? Of course not. Of course not. And that's why we need more males to step up in society. Be a good uncle. Maybe you don't have your own kids in your life. Maybe your baby mama crazy and she hiding them kids from you. But that's okay. Don't be depressed about that. Influence the other children that are around you. My uncle put he didn't just impact us. He had no children of his own. He impacted all of us cousins that had any kind of interactions with him. Y'all, when I talk to some grown cousins that are like older than me, they're from his generation, they're his peers. I hear nothing but story after story after story from many different people in my family about this uncle from before I was even born. Remind you, I told you guys he's 30 years older than me, so he was already a grown ass man before I even was born, right? In his younger years, in his youth, I'd be hearing so many stories from cousins about times he bailed them out, times he gave them advice, times he came and saved them from some situation that they had got themselves in, times that he had let them come and live with him, times he had sent them money. This guy, like nothing but positivity that I'd be hearing from people, how he impacted them, how he gave them pep talks, got them out of a depressive mood, like change their lives, you guys, and their outlook, how they look at themselves. And this uncle, single-handedly, I give him a lot of credit for building my confidence in my teen years when I was going through some rough situations that I needed someone to save me from, but there was just nobody around at that time that could help me. And this uncle, I could tell him like literally anything. And I think I was about, I'm going to say I was like maybe 13 to 15 years old at this time when these things were going on. But I could confide in my uncle about a lot of this stuff, and he gave me so much perspective on my life and helps me to like keep my self-esteem intact. And that's what got me through those traumas and made me able to function as an adult to the degree that I was able to function. I had to play a lot of catch up when I was in my like beginnings of my adult years because of the way that I grew up. But telling you, if I didn't have that guidance from my uncle, I don't know. I don't know where I would be. I would probably be like a cracked out hooker by now. I swear. I'm not even like trying to be funny, but that's probably what I would have ended up doing because of just how traumatized I was from the way that I grew up. But we need people like that. So if you are a man and you're hearing what I'm saying, or if you are a woman with men around you that are hearing what I'm saying, like, don't write off the usefulness of being someone's mentor as a man, because it's something about the male energy that's just so different from female energy. We're not the same creatures, you guys. We're just not. We're human beings, but we're different from each other, and we have to just accept that we're different. That's not bad. Difference is not bad. That's why I always talk about diversity here. People don't like differences because they're just unfamiliar with it, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. You have to work with what strengths this person is bringing in order to maximize on the differences, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. God made everybody different for a reason. If we all spoke the same language, had the same culture, had the same look, there would be nothing new that anyone could bring to the table. It's no new ideas. Everything's been said and done before. There's nothing new to learn. It just takes all the fun out of life. But when you run into people who are different than you, like I heard this guy say, I need my wife because I look at the world through my masculine lens, which you need for certain things, but she looks at the world through her feminine lens. So the same situation, I'll look at it this way, and then she'll bring in a different detailed look that I can't even see. And then I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute. I didn't realize that that was going on. So now your perspective is a little bit meshed with this other person's perspective, and you can get a broader sense of what you're dealing with, right? how much easier is problem solving when you have a whole team of people working, throwing a bunch of different ideas in there? If everybody thinks, looks, acts, talks the exact same way, you're gonna get really limited ideas to work with. But if everyone in the group is slightly different from each other, then we can bring some different ideas to the pool, and then we can pick and choose. There's more options, right? What's going to work best for everyone. Everyone's idea is not going to be used, not this time, but keep them coming, because at some point, one of your ideas is going to be useful, and then we're going to have something that everyone can benefit from. That's the beauty of diversity. It is what it is. It's like we live in a strange society where people will say that they want diversity, but at the same time, they forget. Diversity just means different. It doesn't mean special. That's not what that means. You're not more special because you're diverse. You're just different from everyone else. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. The men have the right to be masculine men. They have the right to be safe in their heterosexuality. They have the right to do what they want to do, as long as they're not hurting anyone else. You're not hurting me just because I don't like what you're doing. That's not the same thing. You're not offending me because I just don't agree with what you're doing. This is not the same thing. And we're in a dangerous place in society now where the marginalized groups, and I'm speaking for myself, you guys, because I'm part of a lot of marginalized groups. I consider myself part of the LGBTQ plus community. I consider myself part of the religious minority. I consider myself a ethnic minority because I'm a mixed person, being half black and half Asian. I consider myself a foreigner because I grew up in a different country for the first part of my childhood. Even though I'm legally an American citizen, I don't necessarily think like a westernized American person because my formative years I spent in the East. So my ideals of culture, family, morals is a little slightly different than the people who were brought up in the West. You see what I'm saying? So there's layers of groups that I belong to, that even like the disability community is also my community, because I have Asperger's, or I guess you can say autism, depending on how you want to classify it. I have diabetes. I have all kinds of like health issues. I have freaking OCD, anxiety, all kinds of stuff that would put me into that, you know, the mental health community, the disability community. So I'm not speaking as like some person who's so represented in all these different groups, and I don't know what it's like to feel marginalized. Absolutely, I know. And I'm a woman. I know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? But let's not get carried away because we're in this foray of complaining about stuff all the damn time, that we just incessantly complain about everything people say and do. Oh, he's eating black ice cream, he's racist. What are you talking about? She's got cornrows in her hair, she's culturally appropriating. What are you talking about? Like, can y'all stop? Can you please stop it? People are so sensitive. They just be crying about everything these days, and you're like, no wonder your life is miserable. When do you have room in your life to see the positive things that to be grateful for, and go chasing after more positivity so you can have more things to be grateful for? When do you concentrate on that? While you worried about what color ice cream cone this guy is eating? Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, you guys. This is the society that we live in now. But I'm going to go off on a tangent. All right. So, Tevin, I don't want you to think that you like triggered me or anything like that. But I like to have these kinds of conversations with people because you guys are not robots. You guys are not dolls with computer chips that I'm talking to. You're actual real humans with families, you're a part of a society, right? You're part of my society. So when we pass these ideas around, like, there's a difference between passing on the idea that men are violent versus some men are violent, but most men are not. And let's focus on the men who are not violent and celebrate them so that we can encourage more men who maybe would have turned out to be violent if they didn't have the right guidance. We can steer those men away from that path by surrounding them with the good men who can influence them, right? That's a different conversation. So if we can sit here and complain about men, if I had just sat here and ranted about how horrible men are and how violent they are and how criminalistic they are, like, there would be tons of comments of people agreeing with me saying, yeah, that's right. I know a guy who robbed a bank. I know a guy who did this. I heard of this on the news. Oh, my friend told me her man beat her up. We could just go on and on talking about that, and nobody would stop us. Nobody would say, that's weird. Why are you guys doing that? Nobody would think that was strange. But me saying, no, I know a lot of good men. In fact, men are very important in society. You know what's really interesting that happened yesterday? There was a guy who left a comment on my husband's YouTube page where I was commentating on something, and the man who left the comment, he said, when I hear this woman talk, he's talking about me. He said, when I hear this woman talk, I be feeling like I want to go build buildings by hand. He said something like that. He was like, this is the kind of talk that will make men go out and build civilizations from scratch by hand. And I never heard a comment like that. But that comment hit me really hard. It was a powerful comment, not because he was complimenting me. It was because he was showing us how the male psyche is, what moves men. They're motivated by the appreciation that women have for them, right? That's not all they're motivated by, but this is one of the things that they're motivated by. And when they have women in their lives who are appreciating them and encouraging them and praising them and impressed with their efforts, it makes them want to go do more. Men are just built like that. They want to build for you. They want to create for you. They want to protect you. They want to provide for you. It's not this 50-50 mentality that these men have. You know, that's something the feminist movement pushed onto men. So now these millennials and Gen Z boys, they think that they have to say 50-50 to make a girl like them. But honestly, most masculine males, they don't even think like that. They don't care if you work at McDonald's and he's a doctor. He'll still mess with you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to elevate yourself financially or even educationally to his level. You could be a housemaid and a college professor will marry you. Why is that? Whereas with women, we'll be like, I'm a professor. You only a janitor. Ill. Get out of here. You know what I'm saying? So that's very significant. And when I heard that guy say that, I was like, dang. If more women understood this about men, they would stop trying to compete with men and whine all the time about how being a feminine being is somehow not beneficial to us. And they would move more strongly in their feminine ways because it moves men. You see what I'm saying? Like, what? Like, for you to say you would build something by hand and put that kind of work in to create something that you want to give to me just because my words inspired you. I didn't give you no money. I didn't do you any favors. I'm not even sleeping with you. I'm just talking life into you, right? That's enough for you to get up and go pursue something like that? That's monumental. Can you imagine if the entire race of black women started to work with their men? we would take over this country. Are you crazy? But instead, we got our black women and black men just constantly at odds with each other. The media is making it cool as a black woman to be angry at black men and for black men to be angry at black women. That's absurd. That's absurd. No wonder. No wonder our communities look the way that they look. No wonder these families look the way they look. All these single family households, single mother households, single mom raised households of kids. Let's talk about the violence. Most of the guys who are in jail, I'm not making this up, you guys. You can do the research on your own. Most of the men who end up in jail come from single mother homes, not single father homes, single mother homes. We need to pay attention to that statistic. There's a reason why that ends up happening. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, if we had good men around that were actually taking care of these children and guiding them, we wouldn't have so many men ending up in jail. You feel me? And some of these men who are not around, it's not all their fault either. We do have some men who are just irresponsible because, again, they were usually raised in single mother homes with no dad around to leave a example for them to follow. So they're just doing whatever they feel like doing. But we also have these handfuls of men that can't be in their kids' lives because they have such toxic relationships with their children's mothers who make it almost impossible for the man to father his children properly. She's always interfering and like sabotaging the relationship, right? So these guys just can't even be in their kids' lives, even though they would. The woman will not leave him alone so that he can do his job as a father, right? And how is that beneficial to our kids? How is that helping your child? I feel like that's very selfish as a mother to raise your children in that kind of environment where there's toxicity between you and their dad. And these kids need their dad. Don't you care about your children's needs? Are you that selfish? The answer is yes. For a lot of people, they are. Because we are raised in an environment where everything's about me. It's not about the village. It's not about the group. It's not about everyone benefiting. It's not even about the whole household. Some of these women got kids and they don't even keep track of their kids. They don't know what their kids ate for dinner last night because they ain't make it. They don't know what the kids are watching on TV. They don't know who their kids is talking to online. They don't even know where their kids are at right now. They don't. They have no concern. It's not even like, I don't know because my kid is lying to me, but I'm checking up on him and I can't keep track. No, y'all don't even care. Like, they don't even care. They're worried about what nails they gonna get, what eyelashes they gonna get next, where they gonna get their hair did. They worried about the wrong things, arguing with some stranger online all day. Like, they worried about the wrong stuff and then be quick to blame absent fathers who they kicked out of the kid's life for why their kid turned out to be a criminal. Like, what is you talking about? Why my daughter turned out to be a pregnant mom at 13? What is you you gonna blame her dad for that? Really? Okay. But you the parent that was here day in, day out influencing this child, or you supposed to be, but you blaming the dad. Okay, I feel you. I understand. It don't make no kind of sense, you guys. No type of sense. And people like me who say this kind of stuff, we get attacked. We get attacked. Priya, you said, yeah, my mom's selfish. Yeah, I have a mom like that too. She's a very toxic person. I haven't spoken to my mom since my son's birthday at the end of August of last year, you guys. And that's on purpose. I refuse. I'm not calling her. I ain't talking to her. And the reason why is because it's not that I hate her or anything. I love my mom. That's why I'm not talking to her. Because out of love for her, I don't have time for her shenanigans. I don't have time to keep exposing myself to her abuse and just letting her abuse me because she's my mother. Like, that's not how that works. You see what I'm saying? And man, listen, I'm gonna talk about being violent. Oh my goodness, the kind of things that my mom be doing when she gets upset. Oh, it's just shameful. But what can I do? She's my mom. I can't do anything about it. That's the person who she is. You know what I'm saying? So I accept that she's like that, and there's not much anyone can do to help her or change her. Even herself, she doesn't think she has any problem because she's so narcissistic, but her intention isn't malicious. She thinks she's being helpful. You know, I get that about her now, so I don't take it seriously anymore, but I also don't have to expose myself to you just because you think poking me with the end of a knife is a way to show me you love me and are concerned with my well-being. I don't have to just stand here and take you poking me. You know what I'm saying? Nah, because you got problems. That's why you think that that's normal. Not because it actually is. You just got problems. Which I get. It's not your fault that you have these problems. God just made you with problems, I guess. It's everybody's around us what we going to do. So I don't disrespect my mother. I don't you know, I don't like argue with her. I don't tell her about herself. I used to when I was younger, but I learned how futile that is now. So I'm grateful for whatever I did learn from my mother that has helped me in life, which I have. I have learned some things from my mom. I've learned a lot of things on what not to do from watching my mother, and that has been beneficial to me. So, in having dealing with that, like Minnie G said, I'm waiting for data on single dad homes, and that's actually a good point. But you know what? A lot of the people who I know who grew up with just a father around turned out amazing, amazing. And I think that has something to do with the fact that in the single father homes, a lot of the dads, though he's the primary custodian of the child, he's not actively working against the mother at the same time. The dad understands that the mother is needed in the child's life. So even though the kid is living with dad, he'll give access to the child to have a relationship with their mother. So the kid is still pretty balanced, even though the mom might be absent in their like day to day, daily household life. She's not there cooking dinners for them every night. She's not helping him with homework, maybe, but he has access to the nurturing that a mother gives him. So he's more balanced than the kid who's growing up in the house with just mom and she's throwing a temper tantrum every time he's on the phone too long with his dad. You know, there's a difference there. You see what I'm saying? Us women, we think because we're not violent that we're not also dangerous. We're very manipulative. We fight not with our fists. We fight with our very toxic behaviors and words. Psychologically, we will wear people down around us if we're provoked enough to do that, you know? And a lot of these women be so vindictive when they see their ex-boyfriends and baby dads move on with somebody else and they get jealous. They just get jealous. You broke up with him. You left him. You said he was no good. You left. Why are you mad? Let him move on. You see what I'm saying? Why are you angry because he got a better job after y'all broke up? Why are you angry because he got a bigger apartment after y'all broke up? Maybe you were slowing him down. Maybe he needed a break from you. Maybe you're not the right girl for him. You see what I'm saying? Maybe you're not inspiring him to go build the best version of himself. Maybe that's what the problem was. Why are you mad though? That's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? Don't be mad at the truth. Just deal with it. Just accept it. You know, your life would be a lot easier when you accept the truth. So I'm a blunt person. I just be saying this stuff like how I would say it to my girlfriends who are hanging out with me. And maybe that's part of what it is. But I don't think so because I hear other people, men and women, talking about this kind of stuff in a way more calm and neutral manner than how I speak. And they still get attacked. They still get attacked, usually from women. And it's not even because the women don't agree. It's because we're just in denial. We don't like hearing people critique us. We don't like to hear that we need to fix something. We don't need to hear that we're wrong about something. We're always perfect. We're princesses. We're never doing anything wrong. We're like Barbie dolls. And that's just the way the world has to perceive us. And we like to portray that narrative as a whole in this Western society that we live in, where we're taught as women to constantly chase independence and to basically like compete with men in everything, where we don't need to do that. And the men themselves are not competing with us. So, like, why are we competing with them? It doesn't make any sense. Men are not doing that. They're not trying to go make more money to prove to some woman that he can do it. He's not trying to buy a house to prove to all his female friends that he can do it. That's not what men do. You know what I mean? Not real men. I don't know about these guys who are like got insecurities, and if those are the kind of guys you keep running into, you need to get out of that environment. Maybe it's your surroundings. You need to leave the hood if that's what you keep running into. You know what I mean? Because it's not like that everywhere else. You go to different places, the men are so much more productive. Like here where I live in Washington, in this region, I live in a suburb, and I always see, especially, I hear this the most when it comes to black men, more than any other race of men. I hear this being said the most about black men, that they're irresponsible, they don't take care of their kids, they're criminals, they're thugs, they're useless, they're whatever, they have no goals, they have no money, they have no education. I always hear people talk, and this mostly the black women talking like this about black men. The other races of women don't even talk like this about our men. It's us that talk like this about our own men, right? And if you know anything about law of attraction, you get what you attract to yourself is what you are. So if you keep getting that, you got to start asking yourself, what about me attracts these thuggy, loser, irresponsible, criminalistic, violent, abusive men. Why do I keep allowing these kind of men into my social circles? You need to ask yourself these questions. You feel me? And once upon a time, that was me. And I realized it's my environment. I know there are good men out here because my uncle's a good man. My cousins are good men. My father was a good man. There's a ton of good men around. I know they exist. Where they at? Well, they not over here hanging out in the damn hood because those guys have standards. So even if they grew up in the hood like my husband, they will move out of there. They're going to set goals for their lives and have ambitions to get the hell out of that environment so they can do better for themselves and their families. That's the problem, you know? And even though I'm from New York and my husband is from New York, we both grew up in the hood. You know where we met? In Massachusetts in a little town called Pittsfield, where ain't nothing over there. It's just a little small town, okay? And both of us were there for financial reasons. We were both there to like move up financially to a better economic situation than what we were in New York. So individually, we didn't know each other. We just ended up moving. Hi, J Seals. We ended up moving there. I'm listening to you while I put my computer chair together. Oh, awesome. Cool. Take your time with it. You don't want to mess it up, right? Because then after you put the whole thing together and you're like, oh man, where was this one nut supposed to go? You're like, oh shoot. Well, I already put it together. I guess this chair is just not going to spin. Whatever. I'm speaking from experience. Can you tell? Anyway, but yeah, so my husband, I met him in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and both of us were minding our business over there, going to work, but we ran into each other just shopping at Walmart, you know? So how did that happen? It's like we both left our environment. Even though we were both from the same environment, we weren't like our environment. We didn't belong there. We had morphed into a different person than the people that were comfortable in that environment. So we had to leave. You know what I'm saying? And when we did, we found each other. And we just been together. We've been like what's the word I'm looking for? Inseparable. That's the word I'm looking for. We cannot not be around each other. Like, it's not because we can't function without the other one, because we're very independent without the other, but we don't want to. We prefer to be around each other all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way he makes his money now, he doesn't make his money at a job. He makes his money independently, but most of our relationship, Adonis hasn't had a 9-to-5 regular job where he goes out and works at some company. You know what I mean? Because, like, it's excruciating. Like, the whole time at work, he's thinking about a conversation he wants to have with me. Then as soon as he's on break, his whole entire break is taken up talking to me, texting me, calling me, and the same with me. You know what I'm saying? So the kind of job that I had when me and him first met, I was the manager of the store. So I basically had him in the store with me almost every day. But because he made his money doing like a independent thing, he didn't have to be in any particular place to do that. He could do it wherever he was at. So he just did it in my store. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's how we were able to spend a bunch of time around each other. Like 24 hours a day we were around each other. And I used to always be like, don't you get tired of being around me every damn day? Like, all the time? You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, my kids are at school and he's kind of on a break from working, so he came back in the house, but he's in the next room doing his own live on his channel until he gets ready to go back to work. But like, if I wasn't doing this right now, talking to you guys, this whole time he and I would have just been having a conversation about something, and I would have went off to work with him so we could talk in the car about whatever conversation we're having, because we get so involved in these conversations with each other because we just vibe. You know what I'm saying? And then what? It's been like 15 years now. This is our 15th year. Like, our anniversary just passed. We've never stopped. Like, we don't run out of conversation topics. We don't. Do we have problems? Of course we argue. Oh my God, yeah, we argue. And it's usually me that's flipping out all the time because I'll misinterpret something he said and take offense because I just didn't like what he said. He ain't say nothing offensive to me. I just didn't like what he said. You see what I'm saying? So I'll catch a whole attitude. And that's something I learned from being around a lot of ratchet people who think being intimidating is okay. Like, they just think flipping out. Like my mom. She thinks flipping out and intimidating you with her temper is acceptable behavior. So, oh, you made me angry. I don't like what you said, so I'm going to get angry. Like, I grew up around that nonsense. So I'm still working on kind of like changing that about myself because it's very toxic. I hate it. And it leads to a lot of needless arguing just for you to, at the end of the argument, be like, you know what? Yeah, I totally misunderstood. I thought you were saying this when that's not even what you said. And I just got caught up in my feelings. My emotions took over, and my bad. My bad. Sorry for calling you all those names. Like, that's so embarrassing to do at 30 something years old. It's grow up. You know what I'm saying? So I realize that when I get upset, I revert back to my 14-year-old self because all the women I saw around me were like children. They were grown ups, but they acted like babies. Whenever they got upset, they would throw a temper tantrum. And because they're women, no one ever corrected them. And they just were doing that. And the environment they lived in, the men from that environment grew up with a bunch of mothers who treated them that way. So they get treated like that by their girlfriends and they don't correct them. They just deal with it. Oh, that's just what women do. No, they don't. All women don't do that. A lot of women don't do that. They get emotional, of course, but there's like a chill button. There's like a setting where they won't go over that, you know? Someone once said to me, your voice should never be raised up louder than a man's. And I was like, wait a minute, what? So many conversations that me and my husband have would sound different if I made a conscious effort to not raise my voice up louder than his. And a lot of times I will justify it by saying, well, he's not going to hear me unless I talk louder. But he's right in front of you. Why would he not hear you? He ain't deaf. So, like, why would you justify doing that? You know what I'm saying? And, like, and my husband will be like, can you stop yelling? And I'm like, I'm not yelling. And he's like, yes, you are. Calm down. Like, what are you yelling, screeching at me for? You know what I mean? Viola said, Gypsy is so nice. I love you. No lesbian. That's okay. It's okay if you are a lesbian. I don't mind. Jay Steele said, I have a sister that does that now and she's 60. Amen. Exactly. And that's so abusive and that's a learned behavior. And if we don't correct that in our children, they never 65 and you still screeching at people. My mom is the same way. My mom is like in her mid 60s. I think my mom is like 65 or 66. She's the exact same way. And that's why I'm not calling her, because if I call her, this is how I look at it. I love my mother. If I don't call her and accidentally trigger her temper, I'm preventing her from having an episode, which is that many less episodes in her lifetime that she's got to be dealing with. You see? So, like, this is my logic of why I'm not going to talk to my mom for a while. She needs a break. You know what I mean? Tevin said, men do that worse than women, and I know from experience. Minnie G said, you guys sound like a beautiful couple. Hi, thank you, Minnie G, for saying that. And I like the way our relationship is. Y'all, my phone gonna die. I'm on 5% because I went 30 minutes over in my time. But that's okay. So these girls are gonna make it back onto the shelf in these outfits, and then I still gotta work on the rest of them. I don't think I have time to do it now. So they're just gonna have to sit here for a while until I do, because I have to go run errands. I have to contact this friend of mine so I can make plans for something we're gonna be doing tomorrow. And I'm always the one coordinating everything, so I have to get in contact with all these people to get that taken care of. And then my kid's gonna come home from school soon, so I have to get everything ready for them to get home from school, because we got to make dinner and all that stuff. So I gotta go be a mom and be an adult. Ugh, gross, but whatevs. And I'm very MIA on Instagram right now. It's not because I don't want to interact with you guys. It's because I go through these bouts where if this dies, if this just ends, it's because my phone died. I have Asperger's, and I have a lot of different like disorders, and sometimes things just going on in my life will like overwhelm me and trigger me when I have a lot of stuff going on, and I can't interact with humans the way that I should be able to interact with them. It's not anything personal. It's not them. It's just I'm an extroverted introvert, if that makes sense. So after a while of interacting with people, I have to get away from everyone. I have to like be in my own space, in my own head, in silence, quiet, with like just my dolls or whatever I'm researching, and to regroup so that I can function. Otherwise, I'll just lose my mind and I'll just be totally emotionally drained and I can't function around my family. So I have to make myself not be on Instagram, not be like posting a bunch of stuff. I have to take little mini breaks like that, or else I'll just go MIA for like 2 years straight. I'll just go offline. You know what I'm saying? to like make up for all of that. So I have to take these little breaks. So if you're like sending me messages on Instagram, if I'm not seeing them, if I'm not responding to them, that's why. It's not because I don't want to talk to you or I'm ignoring people. It's because I have to protect my own mental health. And it's very draining when you're online all the time, because to the people interacting with you, you're like one of the few people they're interacting with. But when on your end, they're one of 100 people that you're interacting with. You see what I'm saying? And because of the conditions that I have, for me, that's like 1,000 people that I'm interacting with. When I interact with one person at a time, I feel like I'm dealing with the same emotional energy as 10 people at a time. If that makes sense. That's just the way autism affects me. So yes, don't think anything of it. Time and me, just we don't get along. We have no respect for each other at this stage in my life, but we gonna get there. That's why I say when I get it together, y'all gonna know. Y'all gonna be able to tell immediately. Jay Seal said, I feel like that at times, don't want to be around people ever. It's such a comforting feeling to have. Mad for Charm said, my husband and I have been married for 25 years, and I agree with everything you're saying. And yo, the women who have been in happily married relationships, almost all of us agree that this is like the secret to a happy relationship with men, is just being in your feminine essence and owning it, and watch how these men just move for you. They want to go to work, they want to get you a bigger house, they want to buy you dolls, they want to make sure the food in the house is delicious and it's all stocked up in your fridge. They just want to go do that. You don't gotta beg and ask and demand. He will just get up and go do it. My husband gets up at 4 a.m., 4 o'clock in the morning to go off to work. He's his own boss. Nobody's making him go. He don't have to go. He can make his own schedule. But he chooses to do that for me, for our family, right? And then when he is done with his work at the end of the day, yes, he takes lots of breaks in between because he's his own boss. But sometimes his day doesn't end until midnight. That's like 3 or 4 more hours he has left in the day to sleep. He don't care. He'll do it. He never complains. He don't be like, I'm too tired. Screw this. I ain't gonna. He never does that. He don't be like, you want another doll? You just asked me for a doll 2 weeks ago. He never does that. But that's because I also play my role as the wife to support him and to praise him and to be grateful for the things